Welcome to 50 Shades of Shilamida, the podcast where nothing is off limits. As a multidimensional sovereign mom, partner, CEO, serial entrepreneur, speaker, and best-selling author, I am on a mission to help more women and men become fully embodied in their sovereignty and power so they can live their truth, speak it unapologetically, and live a life free from the matrix. Each week, I will bring you episodes that will awaken you, inspire you to think outside of the box, and step into the leader that you know that you are. The world needs more people who are walking their talk and unafraid to stand in their truth, and I'm here as your guide to help you do just that.
For those of you that are calling in for the very first time and listening to the show, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. I am having fun having these conversations with you. I am super, super excited about the guest that's coming on today. His name is Bruce Jensen. Bruce is the CEO of Pure Haven. He is also one of the 4 owners there. Bruce claims his most significant professional accomplishment is being raised as a farm boy from Kansas. He has an undying belief in the future and an understanding of the value of hard work. He relishes as a role as father to 5 children and is married to the most amazing woman on the earth. Bruce is the CEO of Pure Haven and one of the 4 owners, and I am so excited to get into his bio. Welcome, Bruce, to the show.
Thank you so much, Shilamida. It's so exciting to be on this show with you and to hear how closely we align on so many issues that you've been talking about this morning.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about alignment, but I first want to talk about the fact that you have 5 children and you're married to the most amazing woman on earth, because I love every good love story, and me and my fiance also have 5 children between us. So tell me a little bit about your role as father and husband and a human being.
My role there is actually fairly unique. So I know there are lots of people that have kids, but when I was embarking down this path, shortly after our first child was born, we found out that she had some fairly significant disabilities, and she's almost 30 now and is in a wheelchair and lives with us full time, and just is one of those unique experiences that she brings tremendous joy to our family, but she forced me down a learning path of acceptance of challenges and trials and learning to grow through them and realizing that God was putting these things in my path to help me, and I get to help her in that process. And it's just been amazing. So she started my role as a dad and just grounded me in how important that was going to be for her. And then I have three amazing boys, and then my last child is the one I spoil the most. She's my little girl, and she's 16 now. So the role of being a dad has just been absolutely amazing, but it's also come with lots of challenges. At one point in my story, we were going through some pretty significant things with my daughter, and my wife decided that this was a little too much for her, and this wasn't what she signed up for. And so my wife, Kathy, also has her own story that involves not ever being able to have children and coming into our family with 5 and just being an amazing mom to these 5 kids and taking on all the burdens and challenges and joys that come from that. So it is not the typical story, but it is a story that is just full of God's grace and just purpose for me.
Wow, Bruce, that's quite a story. And first of all, I have to say, I cannot believe that you have a 30-year-old daughter, because when I was sent your bio picture, I'm like, oh, what a nice-looking man. He's so young. And I could never imagine that you would have a 30-year-old. So good for you. You look incredible. It must be the products that you're using in your household and the way that you're eating, because I feel like all of us that live these clean, healthier lives, we look healthier and younger.
It means everything. And it's why I'm so passionate about what we do at Pure Haven, because no matter, everybody starts on this journey somewhere. You talked about starting in this gluten-free world, and then as we start to clean up our behaviors and what we're putting in or on our body. And some people start, really, I started because I bought the company Pure Haven and I learned about this mission from all of our consultants, and that started me on this journey. And now it extends. It starts in one place, but it goes into food, because once you start down this path, you realize that the greenwashing is happening everywhere, not just what they put on, but what they put in. And when you start cleaning that stuff up, it has amazing impact on the way you look and the way you feel.
Complete amazing impact. And on your health overall, it truly makes a difference. If you change your toothpaste, your soap, and your cleaning products, you're golden. That's how I started, but now I'm taking it one step further, and it's the shampoo, it's the soap, it's the hair products, it's the face products, which, by the way, I never even knew that I needed face products. I want you to know, Bruce, that when I was approached by your company, I said, I don't do anything to my face. I am lazy. I just use a moisturizer. And I signed on with the company just as a wholesaler so that I could get the discount. And I decided to buy the bundle with the face stuff for my son. And it came in the day that I was packing to go to Nashville. And when you stay in a hotel, your skin gets dry. And I was speaking on stage. I didn't know when I was speaking. So I'm like, let me just take this stuff and try it out for myself before I give it to my son. And I am hooked. I am obsessed. Last night we had a financial team meeting and we were talking about this diet we've all done, and they were like, you look fantastic. And I'm like, no, I actually just gained 10 pounds. But they're like, you're glowing. And I'm like, that's my new face product, because I do not have an ounce of makeup on. So thank you, Bruce.
You are so welcome. And look, you're sitting here talking to a guy. If anybody is like not routine about face washing and all this stuff, I'm a guy that is not,
right.
That's just not how we're brought up. And yet I have adopted this into my own routine because it's easy. It's simple. It takes just a couple of minutes. But I put this eye cream is one of the most amazing products that we've ever developed. And I don't just use it on my eyes. I'm putting this stuff on my forehead, anywhere where I have wrinkles. I'm putting this stuff on, and it is just awesome. So even the guys out there in your life ought to be using some of this stuff, because it will help you age so much more gracefully. I actually call it reverse aging skincare, because when I started using it, it took years off of my life and the way I look. And you should see some of the before and after pictures we have of people that have been sun-damaged skin, older people that have just tons of wrinkles and bags under their eyes. My father-in-law had these big dark circles under his eyes that was really puffy and bags, and he just had not been able to find anything. And I took it to him and I said, look, just try this. And I said, but you got to do me a favor. You got to take a picture before, and you got to take a picture after. You got to watch this transformation. And I, no lie, 24 hours. Oh my gosh, 2 weeks. This is revolutionary. This is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. I've tried every product on the market because I'm so self-conscious about this. Your product has actually solved it for me.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I call myself lazy, even though I'm not a lazy person. There's certain things that I'm lazy with, and if I don't pay someone to do it for me, I don't do it to myself. And my cosmetologist, Lucian, yells at me every time I go there, telling me that my skin is so dry, and I cannot wait to go to her this next time after using these products. And it's true. It's been a week. I did not take a before picture, but lucky for me, I'm on camera almost every day. So I'm sure I can find a before picture. But I'm excited because just from eating healthy and changing the products around, I feel like I've already aged backwards. So now if I could use a 5-step program that literally takes me under 2 minutes to complete, to make myself look even younger. And let's face it, I'm 42, Bruce, and as a woman, looking in the mirror, and I teach on self-love. So I think it's really important to look back at yourself and really love who you are. If you're looking at yourself and you're constantly like, oh, these wrinkles and, oh, the crow's feet and these blemishes and these you can tear yourself apart. But the other thing that amazes me is the price. Now, I know some people are going to think that the price is so expensive, but if you were to go to an Estee Lauder or one of the mall counters and buy face products, you are spending way more than $199 for a face system.
Yeah, not only are you spending way more, but it won't last as long. So what's amazing about our skincare is it's priced at that $199. If you join as a consultant, it's actually less than that. And it's about how long this stuff lasts because you don't need a lot of it. That's really cool that people don't understand is when you remove all those toxins out of the bottle, we talk about the impact of toxins on our skin, and I'm sure we'll get into talking about that a little bit more. But people don't realize that when you're putting toxins inside the bottle, it's actually impacting the ingredients in the bottle. Can't you just see that? If you have this great aloe or this great shea butter or this great ingredient in there, and then you're putting a petrochemical in there to preserve it, you don't think that's going to start compromising the effectiveness of that ingredient? And because we don't have any of those toxins in there, you're getting the full force of God's nature in that bottle that you're putting on your skin, and you don't need a lot of it. You just need a little bit, and your skin just absorbs that and just loves on you because of what you're giving it, and you're really nourishing your skin through this process.
Oh, I love that. Your skin loves on you and nourishes you. Just those words make it feel so good. And this month, if you buy that $199 kit, you also get an exfoliator. You also get a mud mask. You get a $20 credit for your next purchase and a free shave gel. There are so many products that come with this. It's amazing how you guys are able to make it so affordable being so clean.
Yeah, and some of that is because we are direct to consumer, right? We don't have all the middle people, and we're not sitting on store shelves. We manufacture this ourselves. So you were talking earlier about the beauty of buying American and supporting American companies. We don't source anything really that is coming overseas. We are working with local companies. We own our own manufacturing. We're sourcing all these ingredients. We know where it's coming from, and we build it. We have our own scientists. We develop these products ourselves. So it's all of our intellectual property. We're not out there buying or paying royalties to other people to develop this stuff because no one is committed to it like we are. And every time I've tried to work with a scientist that's outside of our own scientists, they're always like, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that. They just dismiss what the possibilities are because they're not even willing to try. And that's one of the things that just makes us so unique is not only can we bring it direct to consumer, which we work through independent people in your neighborhood, right? Just like you sign on and say, hey, I just want to be able to get the discount, but it doesn't take very long for you to say, okay, the discount's good, but this is actually really good stuff. And now I know more about the power of removing toxins from my life. And why would I not want to share this with my friends and my family? Why would I not want to tell other people this is the best movie in the world? And we want to go out and start sharing it with other people, and then it becomes an income opportunity. There's just so many good things. Oh, I could just go on and on.
I love it. And thank God we have time to go on and on because I do agree. One of the things that I was a licensed acupuncturist for 10 years. It was a very lucrative business for me. And when I was an acupuncturist, I didn't really want to, quote unquote, sell to my patients. I wanted them to feel like when they came to my office that it was a safe place and they didn't have to leave with a bunch of stuff because, to be honest with you, I'm not very compliant with taking stuff on a daily basis and doing stuff every day. So I don't want to sell that to someone else knowing how people are. This year is all about influence for me, and being able to make a profit off of the things that I use, why not? If we're all using it together, we're all benefiting in the end. And I have to say, I'm super impressed with Pure Haven's compensation plan. You guys really make it so that even if you share it once a month, you can get a bulk of your products almost for free.
Yeah, and what I love is I love not using the word sell, because we don't need anybody to sell anything. What we need them to do is share exactly what you're sharing through this program. It's just share that, hey, we so want people to live happier and healthier lives. And it starts with us. It starts with one decision to say, I want to be a little better today. I learned a long time ago, we talked about how I grew up on a farm in Kansas. I didn't learn any of this stuff, but I did learn hard work. And I learned that, hey, sometimes bad things happen, but they don't determine your destiny. And I learned that ultimately I had choice. And it's the greatest gift I believe God's given us is that power of choice, the power to choose that, hey, I can sit here and watch this Netflix show tonight, or I can stop watching it and I can do one thing to better my life. And that choice, that ability to do that one thing makes all the difference. If anybody that's listening today gets one thing out of this today, it's to just make one choice today. Make one choice different, because if you'll just do that every day, you'll put yourself on a completely different trajectory and you'll become a happier, healthier human being. And we love that freedom of choice. So we don't ask anybody to sell because, look, selling is uncomfortable. Selling is hard. Selling represents that I'm trying to get you to do something that maybe you don't really want to do. And that's not what we do. What we do is simply share. We share about the problem of toxins in products. We share about a solution of things that you can put in your life. Some of them might be a skincare routine, but some of them might just be use a different shampoo. A simple choice that can have profound impacts on your health. One of the things that just happened to our family is I recently lost my sister-in-law to a battle with cancer. And my older brother, who's one of my best friends, we're 18 months apart. People think we're twins because we walk alike, we talk alike, we sound the same, we have similar beliefs. In fact, I went golfing with him the other day, and I've always used a white golf ball, and I showed up with a yellow golf ball, and guess what? He pulled out of his pocket, he pulled out a yellow golf ball, and he and I hadn't even talked about it. So we're just that connected, and he lost his wife to cancer, and it profoundly impacted me, and it impacted our family, and it was just and his kids, and just watching all this happen, and I'm sitting there saying, what if that could have been prevented? What if someone could have shared with Julie 20 years ago to stop putting toxins in her body? And what if maybe a change of behavior, a choice, would have led to a completely different outcome 20 years later?
Yeah, that's what the point I was trying to get across earlier when I was talking is that we have a choice to listen to this information or we just let it pass us by. And they say now it takes 17 times, I think, for you to see something in order for you to really hook into it. And like I said, over the years, Pure Haven has been presented to me, and for my own reasons, I never even gave it the opportunity. But I'm so grateful because what we don't understand is the things that we're injecting into our bodies, the things that we are surrounding ourselves by, the only way to make ourselves be able to live within this is if we clean up the environment that's around us. And I agree, the people who are suffering with cancer, if they made a different choice. My mom also had cancer, and on her third round, we went to a heart doctor who said to her, I can't tell you not to take the chemo, but what I can tell you is every patient that has gone vegan has not needed the chemo. And when we left his office, my mom at the elevator said to me, I guess I don't have another choice but to do chemo. So I looked at her and I was like, I heard another choice. There is a choice. You have a choice, but you're choosing not to do that choice because it was so much harder for her to wrap herself around being vegan than it was to wrap herself around the aftermath that was going to happen by having chemotherapy and radiation, and that's what people don't understand. Chemo, that the shot, that the medicine is going to cure them, but this stuff is not curing you. It is attacking one problem, right? The chemo is attacking the cancer, but the chemo is also attacking your healthy organs. So my father also passed away. He had leukemia, and that's what I watched with him. He actually survived longer than they said he would because of his will to live, but his organs started to shut down one by one because of the chemo. And gosh, if I could go back 20 years from now and change everything that we ever use, because I think about right now what's in my grandmother's house, and I'm horrified, and she has asthma, and I'm thinking, wow, like I can go there and I can clean everything out, and I could really help her with these products, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, the latest statistic is that 90% of cancers are environmental. Just think about that for a second. 90% are environmental. That means they're in our control. That means changing our environment changes our ability to get these things. Eating different, putting different things on our body. There's so many of your everyday products that people are using that have actual carcinogens in them. That means they are ingredients that are known to cause cancer, and we are willingly putting them in and on our bodies. And we're ignoring the opportunity that we have to clean this up. Fragrance, asthma is another thing. So my wife has just used to love going to the mall and going to the what I call the smell stores, the Bath and Body Works and all these things. And our house was full of candles and plug-ins and all this stuff. And when we started cleaning things up, and one of the things that Pure Haven teaches is fragrance is bad. It is full of things that you don't even know because the government has basically allowed companies to hide ingredients under the word fragrance, and you don't know what's in there. And she had suffered with asthma. She loved to run. She couldn't run without an inhaler. She always had her inhaler with her that she was constantly pumping into her body. When we finally figured out, hey, let's just remove all the fragrance from our home, got rid of all the candles, got rid of all the products that had fragrance in them, switched everything over to Pure Haven, guess what? Within a month, no more inhaler. She hasn't used an inhaler a single time in the last 5 years, all because she just changed everything that had fragrance. So if your listeners are suffering from asthma, guess what? There's a choice. You do have a choice. You can keep using that inhaler, or you can just remove the fragrance from your life, and there's a relatively good chance that it will help clean up your lungs.
Yeah, and what listeners need to know is that fragrance is in everything. It's in the laundry detergent. It's in the dryer sheets that you shouldn't be using. Those dryer sheets are so toxic. There's fragrance in toothpaste. There's fragrance in so many things. And like I said earlier, if there's Bruce's one thing for you today is choice, my one thing for you today is read the ingredients. Start familiarizing yourself with the stuff that you're putting into your body. And a lot of people like to say to me when I tell people to go gluten-free, the excuse is always, well, when I was a kid, I was fine. I was able to eat that. But what we don't realize is that we're not kids anymore, and the world is a very different place to live in. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have laptops. We didn't have internet. We didn't have all of these things that electronically and by radiation are taking over us. So we need to get ourselves into that mindset that we are living in a toxic world. So we need to make our home environment the cleanest place that we could be so that we could survive in the outside world. Bruce, I want to rewind for a minute because I got so excited and I wanted to talk about the product. But I'm curious to know, I see that you wanted to be a young entrepreneur, and you mentioned that you actually bought Pure Haven. So I'd like to know a little bit about your entrepreneur story, because I'm a big believer in freedom and the opportunity of what we have in the United States of America. And I want to hear how you came into this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you, because it's one of the things that I feel most passionate about. And as I mentioned to you, I've spent my whole life being an entrepreneur. I did go to college and I got a degree, and I thought, oh, this degree is going to be the answer. I'm going to get a job that's going to pay me money. And though all those things did happen, it wasn't very much, and it wasn't going to help me achieve my goals. And being a farm boy from Kansas, financial success was not ever something that we experienced. It was mostly survival. And I know farming has changed a lot today. 30 or 40 years ago, it wasn't that way. And so I came out of that environment saying, I just want to have some financial success. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly the right goal or that everybody should put their goals on financial success. I've certainly found a lot more meaning as I've worked through that process, but that was where I started. I just started by saying, hey, I just want to make $100,000 a year consistently. And the power of having a goal like that is, if you're serious about that goal, it causes you to reflect on your path. And I could see that my current path wasn't going to get me to that 100,000. And so I had to make different choices. And that's what first got me into more of a sales role, as I understand that, hey, sales, commissions, this is where there is the opportunity to leverage my talents to make more money. And I was very successful at that. But I had another goal. And my other goal that I set when I was a very young man was I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. Yes, I didn't achieve that goal. But it almost didn't matter, because it was the goal that caused me to again reflect. I was all of a sudden in this job where I was making money, and I had met my income goals, but I also realized that my income goals weren't actually creating wealth for me, and I wanted that wealth. And so that's what started me on the entrepreneurial path. And I was actually living in the Bay Area at the time. I worked with a friend to start a technology company that wasn't successful. When that wasn't successful, I decided to start my own business as a consulting company. I did a whole bunch of different things. I ended up starting a publishing company that ultimately failed. At one point, I was a professional storyteller, where I would go around the country and speak and tell stories. That wasn't very lucrative. I had ownership in all these things, but I eventually found direct sales. And what was powerful for me about direct sales is that I found a template of success. And what I mean by that is I had gone and invested my money. I had mortgaged my house. I'd made all these kind of big bets trying to be an entrepreneur, and found it very difficult. I found that you have to be really resilient to work through the failures until you can find success. What I found in direct sales is the bet isn't very big, but if you will work through the process, because the process is simple. It doesn't mean it's easy, but the process is simple. And those people who will jump in and believe in themselves and follow the process can be millionaires from this business. And literally, I've seen and helped mostly women. So I loved how your focus is to help women leverage all the talents that are inside them, because they have so much to give to the world, and they should not be held down, and they shouldn't be restrained, and they shouldn't feel like they have to ask permission, and they should understand their own bodies, and they should have all of that choice and freedom and the ability to create for themselves. And direct sales is what gives them that. Now, it comes with lots of people want to talk about all the negative, and there's MLM, and you know what? There are bad actors in this stage. There are bad companies. They're not all good, but there are really good ones too, and no one should be dismissing because of the negative culture and dynamic that the media wants to portray. No one should be dismissing the amazing entrepreneurial opportunity that exists when you find the right company that fits who you are and will help you achieve your dreams.
Yeah, I love that. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21 years old, so I totally get it. I've been in the MLM game, and I love it. I think that MLMs are great. I don't think that they're for everybody because everybody is not able to work a business in that way when you have to perform for yourself. It's really hard to lead yourself. And I admire that. I admire every entrepreneur story because when I was younger, my thought process was I'm going to grow up and I'm going to own a business so that I can hire other people to work for me and I don't have to do anything. But I did not realize that when I hire other people to work for me, it's really like having more children to take care of because they become a part of your life, they become a part of your family, and they're taking care of your baby. So it's a big responsibility to be a boss, to be a manager, to help people to do things. And it's hard to step up as an entrepreneur. It's why people don't push forward through their comfort zone into the things that they know that they're super good at because they're scared that they're not a business person and they're not going to be able to achieve. But the direct sales and the MLM structure is really set up to help you push through those things. There's a lot of personal development. There's a lot of talk about law of attraction. There's a lot of motivational stuff and gratitude, and it's really nice to be a part of. I'm fortunate that I joined an MLM when I was 21 years old, so I was able to experience that at a fairly young age. And I think that it's great. And we really have to knock down the paradigms of the pyramids and the schemes and all the things. It's not that it's a pyramid or it's a scheme. It's that you're not working the business. And it's easier to blame the business for failing you instead of blaming yourself for that failure. Because like you said, sales is hard. It's not for everybody. And that's why I love these products, because that's what I'm telling my girlfriends. Listen, if you wanted to make a couple of bucks and you have the soap in your bathroom and you have company over and they're like, wow, I love the way that smells, it's like you can make a commission by sharing your link. You don't have to actively sell, and Anna and I will get into it because Anna and I are doing something on the 28th, but what I love about the team here is they really do a lot of things together as a team, and they want to share with your customers, and they want to teach about healthy living, and everybody, it's a real beautiful community to be a part of.
And I think that's really the key. So finding that beautiful community, and that is different for everybody. If you're big into weight loss, then go find a weight loss company that you believe in. And don't just, I think one of the things that happens is people are like, oh, I'm going to join this and I'm going to be a millionaire. It's okay. That doesn't happen. And usually if it does, it's a scary company that's doing some crazy things. There, you can earn your way to $1 million in sales, $1 million in income for yourself, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I think what is sometimes lost is the number of people that would be impacted if they just had an extra $500 a month. Think of just gas prices right now. If you had an extra $500 a month, you're filling up your car for free for the next 2 months. It's that kind of thing. And if you can find something that you actually believe in, if you believe in healthy living, if you believe in removing toxins, then the reality is you're not selling, you're sharing. And if all you're doing is just being a conscious sharer, I like to have people think of our business as it's a micro franchise. That's what it is. How many of us would not have loved to, that are entrepreneurial, would have loved to be a franchise owner of some major franchise? That's awesome, but it costs $1 million to get into some of those franchises. And then you just follow their system. Once you buy into a franchise, you just follow the system. And as long as you follow the system, there's guaranteed money in it for you, and there's guaranteed profits because their system works. And it's very much the same. This is just a micro franchise. You get to start it for as little as $35. That is not even a significant commitment, or $200, and you get the skincare with all the benefits that you talked about earlier. And to take a bet on yourself, it doesn't matter how much you're investing. If you don't follow the system, then it's not going to give you a return on your money. But that system can be as easy as, hey, just share this with your friends and family. Share this with your girlfriends. Have a great product experience and share that with people through your social media. And as long as you can get into a consistent pattern of sharing what you love, there is awesome opportunities to build a little income at the start and a big income as you become an expert. I think the one thing I'd add is approaching it like a business. I think that's the other thing that people don't do. Being an entrepreneur, when I'm laying it all out there on the line, when I'm mortgaging my house to make my investment, guess what? I'm working my business every day because failure isn't an option. And I have to figure out how to succeed. And if people would approach it with a little bit more of a business mindset like that, saying, and it doesn't mean they have to work it full time. That's the beauty. One of the things that we teach people is, look, what I really need is just 30 minutes a day. If you can dedicate 30 minutes a day to just doing a few little activities, you can build yourself that consistent $500 to $1,000 a month. If you now want to go to $5,000 a month, guess what? You get to invest a little bit more time, but you don't have to do that until after. We have consultants that do hire people to do a lot of this stuff for them because they built their business in a way that makes sense for them.
Yeah, that's definitely my plan too, because I'm so busy. But I'm glad you brought up franchises, because something that people don't know about me is actually I used to sell franchises. And I was the director of franchise sales, and I worked for 2 franchise companies. I did really well selling them. And then I had this big disconnect happen with money because a lot of the franchises that I sold had failed, and they started shutting down. And the reason why they failed was because they did not follow the franchise system. And that's what people don't understand, is that the reason why a business is successful is because there's a blueprint of what made that business successful. And when you purchase that business, you're purchasing that blueprint. Or when you get involved with a company, the expectation is that you follow the blueprint. But then we come through, and I put myself in there included, because in the past I wasn't a follow directions kind of girl, but we put ourselves in these situations where we think that our ideas are better and our way is better, and then next thing we know, we're not producing and we're spiraling in the wrong direction. So that's really important too, is if you're going to get into any kind of business, any kind of MLM, if you're going to go out there and work your own kind of passion, you have to remember that if you're buying into somebody else's system, you have to do it the way that they tell you to do it. Otherwise, you got to be your own entrepreneur, and you got to push through your comfort zone and get out there and do your own thing.
Yeah, really, I think if there's anything that I've learned through my entrepreneurial journey, it's focus is the biggest determiner of success. And one of the reasons why I see most people fail is they lack the focus required to actually succeed. When I was about your age, I was running marathons, and you make a commitment to go run a marathon, and it's, especially if you're actually trying, I'm the kind of person that when I said, hey, I'm going to run a marathon, I'm like, if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to run it. I'm going to take this serious, and I'm going to go qualify for the Boston Marathon, and I want to run that. And the amount of focus that was required from me and dedication to run every day and it's one of the things that I teach people, because they miss this point. If you want to go run a marathon, what's the one thing you need to do? You can get online and you can learn about running. You can build your running log. You can read books on running. You can go to the shoe store and make sure you get exactly the right running shoes. But none of that matters unless you actually get out and run. And if you don't run every day, then you're never going to be successful at running the marathon. And if you want to really achieve at a high level and run a sub 7-minute mile for 26 miles and qualify for Boston, you actually have to really dedicate yourself to not only running, but learning how to improve your running every day. And the reason that focus becomes so important is because it is the focus on the achievement that you have to really dedicate significant time to. Now, it didn't mean I didn't hold a full-time job during this. Running was still something I was doing on the side, but I was focused when I was doing it and working on improving. And in our business, it's the same thing. The equivalent to the running is you actually have to share. No matter how much you want to go learn about a business, you want to read about being successful at it, if you're not out there making daily contacts, sharing what you know with other people, guess what? It is never going to go for you. And so that is the thing. And then if you want to really be at the highest levels of a company, you got to get really good at sharing. You got to be analyzing, well, when I shared that, what kind of response did I get? When I posted that on my social media, did I get comments and likes? If I didn't, what am I doing wrong? And you got to evolve how you share, and you got to get really good at it. But nobody is successful without sharing.
Total. In any business, even if you think about the newest restaurant that opened up in town, if you don't know about it, you're never going to go eat there. And if nobody's going to go eat there, they're going to shut down their doors. So it's really so simple, but yet people make it so hard. And we're just stuck in these paradigms of, I'm not a salesperson, I don't know how to sell, and we get stuck in these stories. And that's really what it's all about, is pushing through the comfort zone. And that's the whole theme of what I'm doing right now, Bruce, because I've been through many phases of my life that if we don't push through that comfort zone of what we think we know is that we're not salespeople, so we could never do something like this. But forget about all of that. Let's talk about the products itself. Let's not even talk about the business anymore. I want to talk about the importance of cleaning up the products in your home and Pure Haven's mission with the company and how they came about with the product line.
Yeah, thank you. It really all started, there was a 15-year-old girl, and she was doing a science fair project about the things that women are putting on their skin, and she started reading labels, and this was 12 years ago, so this wasn't even a popular thing. And she was just appalled at the number of terrible ingredients. In fact, there's been a study since that says the typical woman is exposed to over 168 toxic chemicals before she leaves the bathroom in the morning. Think about that for a second. Before you leave the bathroom in the morning, you're exposing yourself to 168 toxic chemicals. And you were talking earlier about people saying, when I was a kid and it didn't cause a problem. Well, you're right. That might be because the products were different back then, but it also might be because of a thing that we call body burden. And your body is only capable of handling so much. And when it gets full of toxic chemicals, it starts to do crazy things. It might be turning into cancer, but another example I had the other day, my assistant came over to my house, and she didn't wear a lot of makeup, but she always had some basic makeup on, and she came on and she didn't have any makeup on. Now, you'd be proud of me. As a guy, I noticed that she looked different, and I was like, hey, what's going on? You're not wearing makeup today. And she's, yeah, I have been wearing the same makeup for the last 20 years, and I got this terrible rash on my eyelids. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, your body has had enough of the toxins that you've been putting in it that's in your makeup. So you now have to not wear makeup until you can remove those, until your body can flush those toxins out, and then you can start wearing makeup again. Her body burden, and all of our bodies are different, which is why we have to listen to our bodies, because some people might have a bigger ability to carry that burden, and other people have a much smaller ability to carry that burden. And a little bit of exposure to toxins to some people immediately causes a rash or these kinds of things, and other people can handle larger amounts before it impacts you. But it impacts everybody. So that's why we started coming up with these products. As this 15-year-old girl started seeing this problem, she started researching, well, what's the solution? And there were no companies that had toxin-free products. And so she's the one that came up with the idea to actually start a company so that we could provide a solution to this problem that's out there.
Wow, that's so cool. And yeah, I try to explain that to people too. We cycle as women in 7 and men cycle in 8, which means every 7 to 8 years our bodies are changing. So things that you liked before you don't like anymore, things that you didn't like before you like now. Maybe you had straight hair in one of your cycles and then your hair turned curly. So our bodies change, our makeup changes, everything starts to shift and change. So things that you were okay with at one point, you may not be okay with anymore. But overall, in our environment, I'm blown away that it's 160 toxins before you even leave your bathroom. But truth be told, what I have pulled out of my bathroom cabinets, and I consider myself to be pretty clean and toxin-free, I see it. I may not use all the stuff, but I still buy it because I can't help it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you talk about reading labels, and I think it is so important to be educated. But, man, to have one more thing that, especially as a mom, as a wife, that you got to do in order to try to keep your family safe. And so we took the position of, look, here's what's going to happen at Pure Haven. One, we are going to make the commitment to be 100% toxin-free. People don't understand how difficult that is. There was a documentary that was produced a couple of years ago called Pretty Toxic. And the producer of the documentary reached out to me, and I had an opportunity to get to know her. And as she was working through the documentary, we would talk fairly routinely. And she called me one day and she says, Bruce, oh my gosh, I've hit the mother lode. I have got an interview with one of the scientists from Johnson. And they are going to come, this scientist is going to come clean. And so what question should I ask? Give me some ideas. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, you know what? I would have just one question if I had the opportunity to sit down with the CEO of Johnson. And she says, okay, what's your one question? I said, you have all the money, you have all the science, you have all the resources to do differently, to actually produce products that are toxin-free. Why don't you? And we should take a second to really think about that. These companies that are out there are putting profits ahead of you. They are putting toxins in products and they're starting to get called out on it. Johnson & Johnson right now dealing with lawsuits over their talc and all the different things that they've been saying for years. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Science eventually catches up, and now they're facing class action lawsuits from consumers who are like, why did you mislead us? But they are misleading you every day. And here's little Pure Haven, this little company that has their manufacturing facility in Rhode Island that is actually doing it. And we're trying to take that one more burden off of people. We want them, one of the things that I have go out and publicly say is that as the CEO of this company, I will ensure that we don't put any toxins in products. This is an area we will not compromise on. As a person, you have to make compromises every day. You have to decide, is it worth this or that? But we don't. What the guarantee you get from us is that I would rather not produce the product than produce a product that has toxins in it. And so when it comes to Pure Haven, we encourage people to read our labels. We encourage them, if they want to be ingredient detectives, to dive in. We are completely transparent. You can know it all. But at the end of the day, what I really want people to do is get to know us well enough that they know that they can trust us. And when it comes to buying Pure Haven products, you don't even have to read labels anymore, because you know that we're going to be 100% toxin-free, or we're not going to produce the product.
I love that, Bruce. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your vision, your mission, for creating this company. I'm grateful for Michelle, who pushed me until I finally tried it, and I cannot believe it, but we are almost out of time here. This was an amazing conversation. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I'm hoping that I get to meet you when I come to Rhode Island next month. And is there any final thoughts you want to share with the audience?
I will get to meet you, and you come to Rhode Island next month. I will be there. I think if there's a final thought, it's I hope people will take a step forward in their life. I hope they will hear this message and say, look, I don't have to do what I've always done. I can make a different choice. That different choice might be reaching out to whoever you've heard this from or however you came in contact with this, or just go to the Pure Haven website and actually just start by replacing a single product. But it also might be, hey, I'm tired of letting the government control or take my taxes or control what I earn or not give me the freedom and flexibility. I'm tired of not having personal development, and I'm going to make a choice to do something different for me in my life today. And either one of those paths, I just want them to know and hear that we're here for them. This isn't some scheme to make a lot of money. This is a real opportunity to better yourself and to make a difference in them. We want to remove toxins because I'm tired of hearing the stories of cancer. I'm tired of hearing about the endocrine disruption in children. I'm tired of hearing about how our children's DNA is actually changing because these toxins have been introduced to them for so long at such young ages that it is turning them into different kinds of people. I'm tired of learning about Alzheimer's and learning that it's really about the aluminum that is being stored in the brain that is causing this terrible disease. We can change all of that. The future is ours. We are here at Pure Haven to do that, to actually change the world. And if you want to be part of that change, if you want to better your life, come with us and let's do something exciting together.
I love it. Thank you again. For those of you that are interested, take a look at Pure Haven. It's PureHaven.com/Shilamida, SHILAMIDA. Thank you so much for joining us on radio today. Please leave a review and a 5-star if you loved it. Share it with your friends. If you want to find me, Shilamida, on social media, I am on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Bruce. Thank you to Pure Haven for trying to clean up our world and make this a healthier, safer place to be. I'm super grateful to be aligned with this mission and to really be aligned with my goals this year and to help women, to empower them to know that the opportunity is there for all. And even the men out there, I love you guys too. Have an amazing rest of your Thursday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take a moment to be grateful. Take a moment to take a deep breath, center into this moment, focus forward into the future. I love you and have the most amazing day ever.
Thank you so much for listening to 50 Shades of Shilamida. Your support means the world to me. And most of all, I love knowing that these episodes are creating massive impact in your life. Love the episode? Share the love on social media and tag me at 50 Shades of Shilamida. And let us know your favorite takeaway. Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, as it helps us get into the ears and hearts of more listeners who need our message and be entered to win some incredible prizes. I am so grateful for you. Thank you.